All right, I think we're going to start, and hopefully, if anyone pops in, they can, just pick up, and we can keep moving. So, you've become covered becoming the real estate expert of choice by building your value proposition. You've also covered generating leads through prospecting and marketing. And today, our focus is now switching to lead follow up, where you can make or break your business. Generating a lead can take almost no time at all. The important aspect is keeping that lead in your grasp until they are ready to do business with you. It can possibly take up to 10 years, and that's not a joke. That actually can. Yeah, you're in it for the long haul, not for the, quick and dirty of it. Um, the next segment of Ignite will help you to turn a possible business into a probable business, and then probably business into a profitable business. Okay. Um, The lead follow-up process is essential to converting leads to business from the moment you have captured a lead and put it in your database. Um, has anyone started their database? Have you started a database? Really? You know where your database is located? Well, phone is your first source for everybody. Every contact you have in there, you can pop it into command, and then you need to look at them each individually of how you know them. You can set tags to them so that whether you really know them or if it was for a business interaction previously before you got into real estate, but you're looking how to tag them because once you can tag them in command, there's a sort process to them of how you'd want to warm those leads up and get them become more familiar with you. The biggest thing is because you normally you're at least going to have a phone number in here, and a lot of times you may even have the email. So if you have those two components, that's a great start to put them in command and to start being able to touch them. Whenever someone reaches out to me, if I've never know them or anything, and they've called me about real estate and what have you, I of course always add them to my phone contacts. If it's just in there for the time being, I put a note next to it, just to say why they had called me or some sort of thing. I always try and add them to my social media. It's a huge one. If you can add them to your social media and learn about them. So if they're willing to, allow you to be a friend with them, you're going to get more of a idea. You're also then going to hopefully find out when their birthday is. You may be able to figure out their anniversaries. All those kind of things are important. Their parents, whatever it is. And you want to make those notes because the more you know about them, the more comfortable they'll become with you because you're interacting and you're conversing with them on that same type of level and understanding, and it creates a bond, really. And I'll tell you, that's literally how I have run my business. I've been in this for over 7 years now, and everything I did was from just my previous career before I got into this. I was in a sign company, so as a manager, a general, not really general manager, but a project manager. Um, so I had touched a lot of people there. Previously to that, I was a hairdresser for 27 years. So being in the service industry, I made people feel good. That was my whole proposition was how to make them feel that they're best. So by doing that, those people ended up being my real big sphere of your favorite. They want to root for you and they want to see you build your career and they're your biggest fans. So that's huge. So if you can tap into anything you did previously from a career, or maybe you're still in it, because I didn't give up my hairdressing until probably 2 or so years into it before I felt like, okay, I can let that go. And I'm going to be, I feel like I'm going to be successful and I have what it to keep going forward in this. Um, but it took a little bit. But by keeping those two kind of intertwined, it helped too because you were chatting with people, you were being very relevant. So it's about being relevant, keeping your face in front of someone and what have you, right? So that you can um, almost become friends with them if you can. Those are just a few tips. I'm not very good with the whole flipping this thing, sorry. So once you've gotten the lead, my page here, sorry, might have. Go. Follow up with your leads, strengthen your relationships, qualify potential buyers and sellers. So you want to ask them the right questions. A lot of times, once people feel comfortable with you, I find with people I've never even, conversed with before, may have known them from the background, may never have known them. They'll reach out and say, hey, and I had one yesterday, just sort of, because I do a um, marketing thing. I advertise myself on the Eastern Shore, and someone reached out yesterday in an email just to say, hey, I picked you up from this local advertisement, and here's my situation. And I'd love to have your, thoughts on it, what I should do, da 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 da. So getting out there and making sure you respond back as quickly as possible. That's the other thing. If you don't answer back and you're not checking your messages, things like that through social media, what have you, you're going to get missed, and they're going to go to the next person. All they got to do is copy and paste, find another real estate agent, say, here's my question. So you want to be on top of that. Those are the things you want to just make sure that you're responsive, and they know they can count on you, and that you actually care and want the business. And, sometimes people come to me and say, um, need to do an evaluation on my home. Like, yeah, it's a CMA. Well, do I have to pay you for that? Nope, I'm going to come to your home, totally free. I'll give you my advice, what I can do, what I'm about, and I'll get you a number for your home. So things like that, because there's other ones I've talked to people and they say, oh, well, I was told I'd have to pay for that. It was going to be a charge of however much. I don't do that. I don't even think we're really supposed to do that. But giving them a little something that qualifies your value, and doing it out of kindness has always worked for me. I've never charged anyone for it. I've even gone through people that are going through divorce. Yep, you're going through divorce today, and you just need something to be able to probably decide who's buying the house out from the other person. It's not a sale, but that person who leaves probably going to need a home, and they're going to choose you because they trusted you for what you did and help them through that process in a slight way, right? And maybe the other person, and down the road who did keep the home decides they want to sell at some point. So you're always looking, there's always an interaction, there's always a possible sale in anything. Um, so that's about, you know, building relationships. It's all about building relationships 24/7, no matter what. Okay, where are we? Here we go. Main thing is when you've these people in your database, you're watching them. If you get, like, say, a first time home buyer, the first time home buyer is anywhere between, going to sell between 5 and 7 years, some 3 to 5. I know right now we're doing some mortgages at 3 years because we're not sure where those interest rates are going, and we don't want to keep them locked in for too long because chances are those interest rates will be down, and they'll be able to decide whether they want to just, remortgage, new interest rate, or we have the itch to move on. The other thing you want to think about in that value proposition when you're moving your people into their new homes, giving them the ideas of how to build equity. If you can give them that kind of value, and tell them, it doesn't have to be this year. Like, I look at homes when I'm showing them and I'm saying, okay, these windows are going to be done, but not all are in bad shape now. So you could pick and budget yourself on the first, year you pick 2 windows, and the next year it's now this. You help them to realize that they need a budget and how to build that equity, keep them safe of what they've purchased and how they can make money when it's ready for the next move. And by doing that, you're making them secure in the fact that they want to come back to you because, you help them in so much. And then when you come back and requalify with another CMA, and they see that, holy crap, okay, this is what I did over that amount of time. What you suggested to me works. So it's all of that, building your value proposition. You're doing it with sincerity, nothing else. Um, so yeah, so the moves are 7 to 10 years. You get your first time, you got the one that their next one is going to be probably building the family, until they're almost, the kids are in university and what have you, they're becoming empty nesters, and then they're looking for that downsizing home once they're done all that process. Some will do up to 5. So you need to be aware, and that's why I would say put them on social media or whatever else, to keep that connection. If you're not, today everything's about social media, so it makes it harder. I wouldn't be on it if it wasn't because of my business. I find it way too toxic. So I've really scaled back to, being more purposeful about what I'm doing when I'm on there. Every day I start on Facebook, and I wish all of my clients that have birthdays, or all my friends, doesn't have to be clients, their birthdays. I take a quick scan. Luckily, Facebook brought back the friends only one. So you can click on just the friends one and just see that stuff instead of all the other crap that gets us all out of sorts and off track. I look to see who's, celebrating an anniversary and things like that. And I make notes of that. Um, Add it to your database. That's the main thing. If you can add it to your database, put all that information in, then when you get into command, you look to see what you can do with that. And, so I use personally just my Facebook for my socialization with my clients or friends and family. And that has done very well for me over the last 7 years. Um, Command has so many wonderful things, and you just have to, take some sessions with Jessica, and she will do from A to Z and how to, work your database incredibly. And there's so many things to do in there, and ideas of how to, some people also switching from social media. There's still people out there that write handwritten cards, the year of the anniversary of their home when they bought their home, plus their own personal anniversaries and things like that. If you see that someone had a death in the family, you could send a, condolence card, sympathy card, maybe send flowers. They don't have to be clients, they don't have to be past clients. But if you put yourself there sincerely, not just trying to, the goal is yes, but it's also about being sincere, just wanting to be there for people. They remember that, and they remember kindness and thoughtfulness. That's normally what a lot of people want in an agent, right? To take care of them. So those are the moves. We got possible business, probable business. Let's see. I'm not one for running through slides and sheets as much, so um, probably cover it more by just yapping like I do. So yeah, you're trying to make a profitable business, but you have to be in it for that long haul. It's not just talk to them once and expect them to remember you in 3 years down the road or 6 months that you're their person. And to be putting value out there. So if you're using social media as your value, or you can still use it through command, you know, weekly stats, monthly stats. If you zone them in, tag them on command in the areas that they're at, then you can kind of look at, okay, I need to look at Bedford this week and give them stats. If you're on the Eastern Shore in a specific area, give them those stats. Like break them up and be, very intentional to who you are directing it to. And then you could do a wide one of provincial or HRM and what have you on your social media or wherever you're from. But be intentional because it's all about farming and getting into the area that you want to market as well, right? So, some people will work all of Nova Scotia. I don't suggest you trying to do that. It's a lot, it's hard, and it's hard to break into even specific areas. I live in Portland Hills. For a couple of years, I really, really was doing the mail outs, and it's very expensive. Um, but you want to get your face out there. So I joined, the Para Committee, which is the association for taking care of our community. So I put my name out that way. I sponsored. There's lots of things like we have movie nights. There's little Easter events for the kids and um, just the cleanup in your area and things like that. And once I started doing that and being part of it, then I also made sure I put. I'm sure you guys can't see this, but it's a magnet. Just said. Keller Williams on it, introducing Portland Hills resident agent, my name, all the proper, little things we need to put on there for a realtor and MLS and all that. My tag has always been the right agent to help you begin your new journey home. And I told them how long I've resided in the area, and if you have any questions, and I answer them for you. Name and email, phone number. That's it. You just make it, and if people don't like to throw a magnet away, that's a good one. And every time I go to anyone's home, I'll be honest, um, there's people look. So my Christmas cards come out every year and just wish them what have you. Inside is the magnet for the year. It's every time I go to a house, it's my magnet. When they're getting ready to sell, my magnet's the only thing left on the fridge. I'll get them to put it on the side, not on the front. So it's on my picture in the pictures and stuff. That really works. I've been doing that now since I started on my own. Actually, I think I started with a team. I first started with a partner. We started, I believe, then. So that's yeah, probably 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. And I've done one every year, and I've got people actually leave all of them on the fridge. So they work. There you go. And that's right. That was my very first year. I did do magnet business cards. Won't throw them away. They like them. It's very few. If you live in areas where you have those mailboxes, the big metal mailboxes or the community boxes, click one on the side. Um, Chances are they're not going to get rid of them. Maybe click a few and people can take them. You haven't, so just ideas of how to get your face out there. Um, Let them start to think about you. If someone's reached out to you, let's say it's in an email, and they have questions, and I'm looking to get their phone number as well. I'd like to schedule a follow-up. Like the one I had yesterday in the email about properties she was asking about. I responded back and I said, love to have an in-depth chat with you. Also to schedule a time when I can meet and look at these properties. I'm trying to get their phone number as well, right? So then you have a contact. Get it in your phone, get it in command, put the notes in there. Um, qualifying, it's about finding out when, asking those right questions. Like, when are you looking to do this? What does your future look like? What is your goals? Your whole real estate goals of investing and how that looks. Those are the things you want to get. And you want to do as many touches as you can, but without being, invasive. So there's soft touches and there's more aggressive touches, I guess I would say. So quarterly, you want to do 4 touches with a phone call, monthly email or a newsletter or a market report or a video, something you can do. That's once a month. So that's 12 times a year. And then promotional direct mail, such as magnet, calendar, printed market report, etc. That's 2 touches. So every 6 months, you want to rotate these things. And then your annual event, if you're going to put on some kind of an event, like say Halloween, come get your pumpkins, Christmas, come get your tree. Like there's certain things you could do, or maybe it's cookies. Maybe it's a dozen cookies. Maybe you do a personal touch and you've made your own cookies, and they have to reach out to say, yeah, I'd love to have a batch of your cookies. There's a gal here at the office here, Trish, and she makes the most incredible, or like a muffin cookie. So they're really good. But things like that, if you were to hand those out, or you have a little special touch that way, or think of their children, think of their pets, you pretty much got it in. So you could also think of an event that was, maybe for people with their pets or their dogs, and you have a dog park thing where you have something one day and you bring treats for them and you do little agility things. Like think outside the box, but think about things that get to the client's heart, because that's where you're building that relationship stronger than just being a name on a sign, on a billboard. It's about that connection. I can't drum that home enough, that it is about the connection that you make, and that they don't feel like they were just a transaction that was gaining you money. We all know we're making money. That's what we're here for. But it's about the sincerity. Um, what to say? Yeah, if you aren't first or second in their mind, you probably won't get the business. That's not wrong. And there's times you're going to see it happen, sign with somebody else, and they're selling their house with someone else. And that's a big thing to try and get over at first, ego wise and emotionally wise. There's people, not perfect. And, I've had people that I've seen, we've contacted, brunches with, all that kind of stuff, then find out they've lived at their home with another agent with a different brokerage and everything. Um, my mind, I start to think of the things. Okay, they probably have bought or sold before, and maybe that was their agent. If that's the case, good on you, agent, because that means you kept in touch with them and they still chose you over a friend who's their agent, right? And was doing more close contact. So, you got to look at yourself too and see, okay, what could I do better? What could I do differently? It's all in how you want to run your business. I do not suck hole for business. And I'm honest, I don't suck hole for business. I'm at a point where my touches are very different than someone that's newer. Again, I'll advertise. Some people use the back of the buses if they're in the city. Mine is based more on the Eastern Shore. I live in Dartmouth, but my business, I born and raised on the Eastern Shore, and that's where majority of my business comes from. So putting it in a local, little, what they call it, the shop to shore. I've worked myself up to the front page, quarter page. If I could, I'd get the half page. If I could, I'd get the whole page. I would gobble that up. Don't care what I spend on it, because that's where my business comes from and it's worth every penny I put into it. I've thought about other ones that are on the Eastern Shore as well, and really, one goes out to 5,000 homes. I'm not sure what the cooperator, how many homes it goes out to, but I've got the business I need. The rest comes from literally, like I said, being a hairstylist for 27 years. And those people, they're on my social media. They see me, um, and looking busy. And, you know, if I get an offer, it's an accepted offer. I don't do the things anymore, like going to showings or, like, but there's lots that do it and it works because they're looking for you being busy. And when they know you're busy, or they think you've shown them that you're busy, whether you are or not, um, you could have, oh, I'm at so and so, I'm at a client meet and greet at a lunch or something. They don't know. You could be eating by yourself. You could be just working on your laptop, but you're looking busy. You're looking like you're out there. Beginning, it's fake it till you make it in a way, but be intentional of how you're faking it, right? And do your research. And as well, when you're not busy at first, um, look into things, study more stuff. Yes, get good with everything you need to do when it comes to command and everything. But research areas and even things like the districts and the sub districts, and understanding that kind of stuff, what the good school districts are. When you have all of that information and then you're loaded and ready, make notes on it, have stuff ready. Um, then when people reach out to you, you have information and you're not scrambling for it either because you're kind of studying these markets of where you want to build your business in. When buyers reach out to me, um, I feel like I've qualified them enough to know I've sent them to a mortgage specialist. We've had a discussion on how the process goes. I send them or hand them, depending on how I've talked to them. It's the buyer's package. In it, we'll give you the preferred service partners, like for your lenders, for lawyers, um, your inspectors, so they're prepared. Tells them what it is. At the back, I also say, this is what approximately it's going to cost. And at closing time, these are the things you need to think about, contacting your oil companies, contacting Nova Scotia Power, your mail, all of that kind of stuff. There's reminders in here of how to do that. You know, this is my own personal one. Yep. You just build it up. I mean, no problem sharing it. It's basically you'd use it as a template and then you put your people in. You need to go take the time and chat with mortgage specialists, get in touch and in touch with lawyers. You need to build a relationship in order to make your business grow. You need those trusted relationships that, when you send them to this person, they're going to get that job done and they work hard and they're not just sitting there. I've had ones that originally that I worked with. They're not who I work with now. Nothing against them. But as my business grew and I felt my needs of my clients changed and how I wanted to run my business, it pivoted. Your whole business, you will pivot as you keep going because you'll see what works, who works with you, who doesn't. So having all of that is all part of it. It's one thing to get leads, but you have to have all your research done in the background as well, so that you're ready and able to hand that person, when you've talked to them, who they really need, because then you're going to learn who they are personality wise, and you'll know who you have in these preferred partners that would work best. So it's all important. Like there's a lot of parts to it, you know, after a while, it just becomes second nature and you don't have to think about it anymore. It rolls out. It's how you run your business and it becomes, and if you don't think you're running, I'm not a script person. Okay. Don't do scripts. You see here, I am not writing a script today. Right. So, but over time, because you believe in what you're saying, you repeat these things and it becomes your script because you believe in it. You believe in what you're saying about the market. You believe in what you're saying about your preferred partners. And we believe in what you're saying about when you're showing homes or anything else. Have to come from sincerity and, honesty, always honesty, no matter what. I'll get out there some days and I'll be talking to my clients and I'm like, well, do you want my honest opinion or do you want my honest? Don't have to have it. I'm going to give it if you want it. People respect that 100%. And look them in the eyes, for God's sakes. You're talking to them, right? So to cement it, a high value touch that solidifies a relationship, you have just established the open door for future um, interactions, right? So once they feel you, all of that, They're going to trust you as long as you're giving them proper information and you guide them in the right direction. There's going to come a time, um, you're talking to somebody, you say, you know what, I don't feel you're ready yet. Like if we've gone and seen a bunch of homes, let's say for a buyer, you can tell if they're really ready or if they're still just kind of scared. I had one last week. This is a really good um, learning lesson and what have you, and how to navigate. It was a first time for me. So I'm into year 8, and this is the first time this happened. Had sellers. We sold their place actually exclusively, sold firm off market. This was to help them purchase without using an SOBP in this market because the market started to shift and SOBPs are great, but now once you're competing again, that doesn't make you as strong unless you're throwing a ton of money over it that they'll trust in you to get your house sold and still firm up. It's not as good of an opportunity. We may very well pick someone else without one of those. So my clients, after we've been looking and been getting frustrated with the market because their budget was only so much, and most of it was going about 10 to 20,000 over from where their top budget of comfortability was. They call me and they say, "Yeah, we can't sell our house now. We have to get out of this because we just feel the market is not going to be there for us right now." Well, you're under contract. We're firm. We're sold. You have to sell your house. Said it in the most kindest way. I said, I'm going to just tell you, call your lawyer and have that conversation. I have to tell the other agent, have their clients talk to their lawyer, see if they would be kind enough to let them out. They weren't going to let them out. So then my clients are like, oh my God. So, anyways, things happen sometimes for a reason. I got scared. We talked it through. We realized that wasn't an option and they had to go back. Doing to just buying a house. And that same day they decided, they said, can we go see this house? There was an offer on it, but it hadn't been accepted and it ended up tanking. We swooped right in. I called the agent first and just said to them, listen, my clients have this budget. Here's the whole scenario of what's going on. And he said, yeah, send that over. I think I can get that done. My clients got it at their budget, and we're going through conditions now, and it's just like it's a miracle. But they have to have faith in you that you're going to get this done. So that's why I'm talking about building the relationship. These guys reached out to me probably a year and a half ago. I visited them, looked at their house, gave them a CMA at that time. Next year, they're like, okay, we're ready. I said, okay. So I put them on. Paragon is great for getting them on the Collapse Center so they can start that process of understanding the market, what's happening, how fast. If it's over, people are overbidding, things like that, they got to be prepared. They had their pre-approval done, no problem. Everything was all good to go. So, yeah, so when this hiccup happened, they could have blamed me. I sold their house. I'm making them homeless now. They did not blame me because they just keep thanking me because I'm thinking of solutions. So that's why I'm saying you need to understand all aspects so that you can be that trusted, preferred person they want and believe in. You can get them to the end. So just qualifying and talking to them, that's one thing. Building the relationship is the biggest part. You can do all the touches you want, but if you don't ever really sincerely contact them and you only want their business and they feel that's all you want, there's tons of us out there, right? It's about makes you special in this industry, why they would choose you over the other 1,999 agents that are out there, right? Um, you need to. We can tell you anything about how to qualify leads and what have you. Again, it's all about sincerity and it has to come how it's comfortable for you because if you're not comfortable, they're going to feel it and they're going to know it. So those phone calls have to be intentional. Um, what you put out there has to be intentional. If you're sending out a market analysis, don't send out or like market report. Don't send out a market report if it really doesn't benefit their area. Like make that intentional so that they feel like you have actually just reached out to them and you don't want them to know that this was a spam email where you've done it to 100 or 200 or 1,000, or you know what I mean? Like you really need to be careful of that. And if you do make a little mistake, pick up the phone, make that a special contact. Say, geez, I didn't mean to send that one to you. I hit the wrong one. I have yours here and I just want to send it to you. Perfect. Because then you've got them on the phone and you can ask them how the dog's doing, how's the grandbaby, what have you, right? Pay attention to what's going on. Those are the most important things to do. We can do all these other contacts and what, quarterly, every 6 months, 12, 12 times a year, what have you. Again, it's that personal touch that makes this difference. Um, and know your strengths. That's huge, right? Know your strengths, know where your weaknesses are. If you think you would like to strengthen your weakness, figure out how to do that. Lean on people. There's lots of people in this office, colleagues. We always want to help. I mean, that's why we come in here. We're here giving up our business to come here and help you guys to be stronger, and give you our personal ideas of how we've done things and what have you. Before I go any further, I want to see, is there any questions online? Anyone want to ask anything or?
All good so far.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anything with you? Yep, that's not a problem. There's one here and you can have it. Yep. I actually, if send me your email or whatever, give me your email and I'll just email it over to you afterwards. So you have a PDF copy, because that's actually I'll give you a Word copy, because then you can go in and interchange. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure you've probably been meeting people. I mean, I know this isn't your first time in the real estate, so you've probably been touching other preferred service partners as well, right? Yeah. So, and if you didn't like them, if something happened and the deal didn't go well, or you didn't like, or your clients didn't like them, evaluate that. You could give them a second chance or what have you, but your business is on the line of who you are bringing into your business, right? Who partner with you. So that's a big deal. Well, again, I've gotten rid of ones. Home inspector, huge one. Had him for probably 5 years, and he is toast in my business. He only took him in the fifth year. Two real major things that he talked about. One of my colleagues here at the brokerage, um, very rudely talked about our brokerage in an unprofessional way, of his opinion and what have you. Um, she was three things, and then insulted me on just on a using it with the other, yep, passive aggressive, but it was very intentional. It was about the other colleague that he was talking about. Then he's like, don't be like so and so kind of thing. Like it was in front of my clients in the middle of an inspection. I run my inspections very much like I walk with my clients. I ask questions on their behalf. With the inspection, so that the inspector will actually really do a good job. It's also a learning for me. Get on every inspection you can. If you guys have mentors, get out there with them, ask them what you can shadow them on. Will build you a knowledge of wealth, right? You'll learn everything about everything. So that when you go do showings, you're almost doing it like an inspection without being invasive, looking at the panel, things like that. You're showing your value and what you're going to give to them. And they feel like you're going to miss anything, right? The inspector is there, of course, to back that all up, but you having knowledge of a home and different types of homes and what have you, super important. Um, right? It's Maureen, FergusonHomesales.com. EEN, yep. Yep. Okay, what are your strengths when working with people? How can I adapt to the touches? I gotta read this, sorry. Yours is different than mine. What are some reasons I might have for contacting the lead? What are some touches do you before and after the phone call? Yeah, you want to look at who that person is if you're making a phone call, you really want to look to see, okay, what do I know about that person? So research them on social media, whatever you need to do to have some insight ahead of time, pets, anniversaries, things like that. Oh, you just had an anniversary or your daughter just celebrated her 16th birthday. What did you guys do? It's about that connection. Then you'll get into real just it'll become second nature. You don't even, sometimes you don't even have to say, I'm calling you today just to see if you know anyone who wants to buy, sell, invest in real estate, whether yourself or whatever. I mean, that's the traditional one we always say. But if there's a way to kind of not ask for it, but still, if people sincerely are interested in you and are following and watching you, they're going to say, man, you're some busy. Like, yeah, I closed 2 last week, got an accepted offer and what have you. Yeah, I have been busy. Work on referrals. If you happen to know someone, like that's how you can kind of put it in instead. I'm just calling you to ask for business. Can you drum up people? Can you give me their names and phone numbers and what have you? Make it more of an organic, let them kind of almost say something to you as well. It becomes much more, I hated talking. Didn't even like doing this. But very nervous, and that's that deer in the headlights feeling. It's very uncomfortable, but the uncomfortable will become comfortable the more you do it and the more you force yourself to do it. I promise you, because again, I took, I started this being an assistant for a real estate agent. I left my sign project manager business to work from home, to be home with my dogs and work in my pajamas. Like that was like, it's great. I don't have to talk to all those people anymore. And it was wonderful. I didn't have to drive in traffic. And then, yeah, in about 8 months, and I'm taking my license, and my world completely changes. There's no more pajamas and, no makeup and hair's in a messy bun. No one ever sees you. Yeah, no. So even learning to drive everywhere. It's like, I hate it. Halifax now. It's like, you know, so life changes, and it will become much more confident for you. And everything will be like a second nature. So it is about building the confidence and don't get in your own head. Um, Time blocking. Everyone say, when is the best time to actually time block? What's best for you? When are you sharpest? When are you at a point before you want to start, showings? In the beginning, yeah, time blocking is great. After a while, it'll just going to be when it's going to be because you're not working on probably calling leads as much. But in the beginning, it's super important. You have nothing else to do besides learning how to become a real estate agent. The back end command, take every course you can. Time block maybe at the beginning around where those courses are being offered for you. These are the best things you could be doing. Other brokerages tell agents, go to KW first and get all the knowledge, then come back. They'll use us, but it's because we have the best educational system, I believe, there. Everyone else will say they've got it. They'll leave you swinging in the trees, right? We're here to actually try and get you to have knowledge and be the best you can be. Because I don't want someone out there who doesn't know what they're doing representing Keller Williams because I'm attached to it. So it's much better for us all to be in a good place and knowledgeable place, so that we're all representing our brokerage properly. And if you've just met someone on the street and you are lucky enough to share contact information, maybe they ask you a question, I'll get that to you. Make sure you get as much contact information as you can. And then you say, hey, is there anything else I can help you with? Like those are the things. You just want to be intentional and sincere. Well, the lead blocking, I tried it. I have ADHD. Didn't know I had ADHD till a couple months ago. So time blocking was really hard for me to sit still. Yeah, phone all day, and then you're building up all that anxiety. Start with people you kind of know first that you can just have conversations with, still make them intentional. Get a partner to kind of run stuff off of. It doesn't have to be a specific script. Just keep working with what works for you. Will become your script. Sincerity, and that's the best thing you can do. Just be you, but tactful and intentional.
Well, don't we have scripts?
We have tons of scripts, but they're not for everybody, is all I'm saying.
Right.
Because that's what it makes you nervous when you're trying to remember something. And now I'm in menopause, so forget that. I'm not remembering anything that I read. Right. So it all depends on where you are in life and what works best for you. Some people need a script. Sherry, she is the script queen. Her and her group, when they started here 3 or 4 years ago, they all rehearsed scripts. They got in their groups. There was probably a group of at least 6 of them. They pounded them out and worked them. That's what works for them. So it just depends what works for you is what I'm saying. There's not one straight line, I guess, right? That's the thing I guess I'm trying to get home.
Because when I started out,
You were scripting.
yeah,
Yeah.
you need something.
Yes, you do.
You need something to kind of, you manage the flow. And then
100%.
afterwards, you kind of get your
You
own.
can, you will work your own script. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Still remember the script. So you
Of course you will. They're
practice
memorized.
them so often.
Yeah. Yeah, but you've made them you. Doesn't feel like you're going, da, 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 you know what I mean? Right. And you also have to have, you'll mirror your tone and things like to that person you're going to talk to too, right? On how you, if they're very subdued or if they're high energy, you kind of match them a little bit.
That's also.
Yep.
Mirror.
Yep. Mirroring is all important. So I do all that, but I couldn't tell you on a script. I have my own script. It just comes natural to me.
Yeah.
So for those that can't, but that's why, I guess that's why I also was saying, I don't know if you were here for this part, but about researching the market, researching everything you can, areas and things like that. Because it's one thing to get a script, but you better have something afterwards when they start talking to you,
So,
asking questions.
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna.
No, you go right ahead.
When I was new, and even when I was new to Halifax,
Yep.
I was brand new to Halifax.
Yep.
I didn't know anything. Just reached out to senior agents and talk and ask
Exactly.
questions and see what they have to say. And you just learn so much.
Yes,
Because it's unnerving to sit and research sometimes. That's
yes,
quite confident.
exactly.
But when you hear another agent who's experienced talk, you
Yep.
kind of.
Yep. And you'll build those relationships. That's another thing, no matter what, very important to build relationships with other colleagues in this industry, not just in our brokerage, outside of our brokerage. That will win you so many deals. Because there's one, maybe your client wasn't quite the top, but maybe your condition date was a little tighter, and you had transactions with these agents beforehand, and they look at this pile, and especially now in a bidding war that's going back on, would much rather work with you. I have agents say I would work with you in a heartbeat again. And they will tell their clients, this agent gets it done, da, 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 So it's a whole umbrella we're under. It's not just one thing. And I know we're qualifying leads today, but again, there's just so much to this business to make sure you're aware of. So here are some of the ideas. Connect with every lead quarterly, the birthday card, market reports, for the 12 touches. Space that all out, neighborhood newsletter. Not everyone's door knockers, some are. Those that door knock do it well, very well. There's one guy in this industry, not in our brokerage, and that's his whole shtick. He goes out there and he knocks doors like there's no tomorrow and picks up his business that way. Promotional direct mail, local sports team schedules, annual calendars. Now, like I said, organizing a neighborhood park cleanup, some kind of little event. It doesn't have to cost a bunch of money. It's getting that area together and being the highlight of that person who organized it. Have pride in the area. Right? Just showing authenticity, showing your value proposition, how you personally communicate, and also giving them the statistics and the data. And getting the statistics and the data is learning through NSAR, finding all the tools they have there. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge everywheres. And I think even Jess has other things she can show you as well here, the tech side of things. So potential lead sources, calling, community events. We kind of spoke about that. Open houses, social media marketing, traditional marketing, and your agent website. It's important. I know we have them through our command. I invested, at first I wasn't a big fan of command. That's just when it was early on. It was in the COVID age and all that kind of stuff. It just sort of not a stats person. There's things I don't do probably very well, but I've learned how to pivot to make what I don't do well, things I do well, work for me. But one of the things was I did build my own personal website. It's all linked with all of your MLS listings. I sunk money into it, but I was also I used to have lead generation sites. I there was so much coming in, it was hard to qualify what really was good, what wasn't. I would always take that lead that I thought really warmed up, I put it into my collab center and I worked it from there. I had better control. Brain wise, I could better control what I got and I put it in collab. I'd see what was coming in for them. And then I'd say, hey, did you see this one? Know, and then you're looking at that stuff. When you can set up your buyers on what they're looking for in the areas, and you see something because you've shown them a few homes and you've gotten to know what they really are looking for. Hey, did you see this? This got the double garage. It has this. It, it has the heat pumps you're looking for. Maybe we should take a look. What do you got available? You want to be intentional with them that you are your only person. They think they are your only person you're dealing with. It's about making them special. Those are the types of things that make them want to navigate to you and stay with you. So you give them either a text, a call, and those kind of things. Past clients, I keep in touch with them mainly through their Christmas card at the end of the year, or a holiday card, whatever they're celebrating. Birthdays, anniversaries, always congratulating the successes in their life if they happen to put that out there. There's a lot of touches to be had, those kind of things. Purchase leads is basically the sites. You just have to be on those. Suggestion, because it's a lot of money to put out for one agent to get into that lead system. If you could partner or if you could get a group of trusted people, then you can qualify those leads. They'll basically, every time a lead comes in, it just goes down one, 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 one. So you're all getting leads, and how you qualify them, they're not all good. A lot of them are just a bunch of crud, but the way I looked at it, well, if I got one or two leads out of this, that paid for my year, right? Anything else is gravy, and I'm going to make money off of it. That's how I looked at it. And then after a while, I looked at, okay, I'm up to almost like $7,000 or $8,000 a year on this lead site. Why don't I dump that into my own website? That then they just give me that same information, right? Just ask those few questions: name, phone number, email address, where you're from, are you buying, are you selling? What's that look like in your world? 1 month, 6 months, those are the kind of things you're already starting them. When they come in, good God, contact, because again, they can be surfing lots of websites, right? And if you don't answer them and be the first in front of them, got someone else is gonna, right? So, statements or questions. Why are you thinking about buying or selling? And hopefully they're going to give you that and tell me more. What will you do for, or this is in the way and I don't have it in the way. Sorry. What will you do for, what will that do for you and your family? Right. So, you want to find out their whys, what their big why is. Is it because they're growing their house? Maybe there's two siblings that have been in the same bedroom and you want to give them their own space. You want a rec room for them. You need a bigger yard. You have dogs and kids now you didn't have from that first home. So you're trying to get all of that information, and then you're trying to build them that new home, new investment. Two-way communication established, the lead becomes a contact. Yes, when you have really contacted them. It's great, emails, text message, what have you. A phone call is important. They can hear your voice, you can hear theirs. You can gain a lot of information from that. And you want to make notes. Anytime you talk to these people and they're in your database, make notes about what you talked about. Schedule that call back again. You know what I mean? That follow-up. It's so important. I've had leads, like I've worked on them for years. One was just 5 years, and we're now back at talking about selling their home and buying the new home. You're in it for a long game, not a short game. Some are quick. Some will just call you up and say, hey, can you show me this house? Next, you're writing an offer for them.
Maureen, it's Chris.
Yes, dear.
I've got a quick question for you, if you don't mind. So I've got a lot of, I would call them cold leads. They're people that entered one of my contests. So I've got their cell phone, I've got their email.
Yep.
Challenge, and I automatically texted them after they entered the contest and said, hey, thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. Asked them a question, whatever. So yesterday I was sitting down to start maybe contacting these people again. They haven't indicated they're kind of looking to buy or looking to sell. And I'm like, I don't know, what do I say with them? what do I say to them for that next contact? And a little bit lost. I wonder what you would do with someone who has not indicated anything about buying or selling. What would you do to contact them?
Be a survey. Send them a little survey of, are you a homeowner? Maybe an age, like do a demographic where, you know what I mean? If you were going to buy, where would you want to buy? Like make it fun,
Okay.
make them short and quirky so that every once in a while, maybe once a week, because they're not really leads yet, but maybe put something almost like a fun fact or what have you, or just curious how you're thinking about that. Maybe it's I bought my first home at the age of whatever. I was scared to death, blah, blah, blah. Only had a little bit of money down. What's your world look like when have you started, thinking about this process? I mean, you can probably maybe tell somewhat from their age demographic, now up to 30. Would be lucky if we have a homeowner, just because of what's been going on, right? So, yeah, I'd say probably do it in little cute questions, make it fun and cute.
Okay. Yeah, so just a drip to them that basically, encourages participation, that I can
Yeah.
get some information. I've already got them delineated between, are you a renter, are you an owner? So that's great. But no, I like the survey questions. I will try that. Thank you.
Yep. And the other thing you could think of is you're willing to be in my, I don't know, let's just say it's just something to kind of keep them engaged, that they know it's going to keep coming and they're going to keep getting a question. If you answer like a game, like a tic-tac, go. If you can answer this many of my questions, going for another draw or something like that, like get that, because all you want is get that information. Because once you've gotten that information, you can build more on that. Maybe it's a sit down, maybe take them to coffee and or lunch or something like that. You're not going to get everyone to be engaged. But if you can get that one almost like a bingo card, you know what I mean? Like you've on a line or the four corners or what have you, you can make it really fun. And then they know, please, I'll answer all those questions. You're going to take me for a coffee or something like that. Or you'll send them something, it's like a water bottle or a little care kit. There's all different things you could do. Maybe it's bribery. Well, we obviously can do this stuff now because NSREC says we can do sort of like promotional things as long as we clear it with our brokerage, from what I read. But we always do little things like that. So that might be a real fun thing for you, Chris.
Yeah, that's brilliant actually, to gamify the whole, please,
Yeah.
please interact with me and give me information, but gamify it. I love that. I'm totally
You're going to
stealing
give
that.
them
Thank you
something
so
back.
much. Yeah,
No, you're welcome.
absolutely.
That just was off the top of my head. That's how my brain works. I hope it works. I want to know because I probably won't do it, but you're that type of person. I know that will work phenomenally for you. And maybe if you do get a group of these people that do this, maybe then it's some kind of a fun little summer activity. Like you go to the park, maybe you're looking at people that are dog owners, or maybe, something like that, that there's a common interest in, and then you can get them somewhere in person and do something fun at the end of it. The world's your oyster on it, really. You'll know as you know these people and get to know them from these surveys, it'll make it so much easier to see what you're going to do next and get in front of them. But that's the way to get in front of them, right? Fun bribery, I guess, right? That would be what you would consider to cement it, a high value touch that solidifies the relationship you have just established and open the doors for future interactions. So, once you've got them on that type of, uh, connection, you'll have them. You'll have them. Just don't have them and then drop them like a ball. Like you got to keep doing something. But maybe after you've done that, maybe then it's just social media and interactions, however you see them on there. But that's where I do, like, people do their blockouts in the morning. My blockout, I get up and I do my Facebook, and there's probably an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending. That I'm intentional about that. I'm not just scrolling to scroll. I'm scrolling for the important stuff of life events of these people I know. And you're just, like I said, anything that they give you, for God's sakes, make notes. That is huge because you never want to be caught off guard. You got to remember about that person as much as you can. Then, like follow up with those leads and how to get in front of them when they seem to be already. And like what I just said to him, like do the fun stuff and then see if you can't get them. Once you kind of train them, to answer you and they're almost looking for whatever your question is, then you can make them more intentional towards forming that lead, seeing what they're gonna, maybe there's a spot where you can say, if you give me, 3 people that have talked about wanting to do something real estate, whether it's listing, buying, investing, if you do that, like just make it fun. Give them a dangled carrot. And they're probably going to interact and say, hey, you know what? My cousin talked about it. I was at my friend's shower and her aunt's, looking for somebody. Just think of little cute and innovative ways maybe other people haven't thought about. It's all about getting in front of them. And then just say, hey, so and so I was talking to just mentioned that you may be interested. I'd love to be able to chat with you. No pressure, no nothing. I can help you for free and talk to you for free for now, just to, maybe you need an evaluation of your house. Maybe you just need me to set you up on, I have no problem with setting people up on Collab, even if they don't think they're going to buy something or even sell anything in another year or two. Matter. Let me put you on Collab. Let me give you an education on what's happening in your area of what you have and what is going on out there in that market, or what you're looking to buy. Watch the ebbs and flows of the market. Plenty of time. It's such an easy thing. There's no pressure to them. And I just basically, you know what? You just get to educate yourself. And then when you're ready, can talk and we can be more intentional of zeroing in and what have you. But it's good for them to know the market when it's the bidding wars happening and what they're going for. They get invested. It's just becomes addictive to them. Always Collab Center. That's my big thing. Collab Center. And then, it'll show up and they'll say, they set them up for a year. And if you're looking at a year's time and you see, when was the last time they actually were into their Collab Center? Well, if they haven't touched it since you set it up, chances are probably not good. I will probably, though, that first year still extend it for another year. But ones that I've had on where because it gives you your date when you added them, when was the last time they were there, when it's going to expire. That gives you information itself of how much they are actually interacting with what you set up. If you see they're there every day and you see what they're looking at, some will like it, dislike it. Perfect opportunity to reach out to them. Just looking at, your Collab Center and what's going on. Where are you at now? I just want to do a follow-up with you, make sure I'm not missing anything or if any of your needs have changed, right? That's opportunity with them, and it's intentional opportunity. You're not trying to just, hey, change mind yet? I mean, conversation, study that person, study everything about it, of what they're interested in. And that's why notes are important, because you may forget who that person is on your Collab Center if it was 6 months or a year ago that you set them up. Again, menopause brain, I forget things like crazy. So those notes are very important. My phone is another very important, my calendar, and they're, reminders to things. I talked to so-and-so, these people on this one day. I know I need to set up that in either it's a month or maybe it's 2 weeks. I said I would call them back and we'd have another conversation. Don't miss when you said you're going to do that, and do a reminder ahead of time for them. Hey, don't forget tomorrow, by a text or an email. We have an appointment set for 4 p.m. blah, 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 in regards to this. Is this still a good time for you? Then they say, no, it's not. Well, 7 better or something along that line. You know what I mean? You don't want to lose them, but you want to try and keep, dates. So that's how you're going to cement those leads and how you're going to make sure if you drop the ball, you're done. So in most cases, unless it's someone you really know, why do they care, right? Like if you forgot about me, didn't mean that much to you. So you have to make them feel like you mean everything to you. So let's just see here. The effort you give to converting leads must match the effort you give to generating them. That's right. It's one thing to get the name and the contact information in. It's how you deal with those leads and how you treat them. It's what builds the business. And it really is just about making, you're making relationships. It's all about business. Yes. It's all about getting to that end point. But what if that person you made that contact with ends up not deciding to? But if you've made an impact on them, they're still going to refer you because you were and so understanding because they shift it and they don't want to sell or they don't want to buy now because something happened in their world. They're going to remember you of your kindness and how you treated them, and they're still going to refer you. So maybe that person didn't work out, but maybe they have 5 more that will in the next year to 5 years. It's never over. At some point, because of your compassion and how you dealt with whatever that hard situation that was for them, they want to go back to you because now they're comfortable as well. Their dirty secret of why, what happened. And also knowing whatever that is, make sure you've touched base with them. If there was something tragic that happened in the world, like I have prayers who also were going to sell. And I've been showing them homes in the specific area, and then husband's father died. They actually reached out to me and said, listen, we're going to put this on hold for a little bit. And, we'll let you know when we're ready. Absolutely. I know I sent them, I hand delivered flowers to them and a sympathy card. They weren't home. I left it on their deck. And I mean, they just couldn't believe that I had done such a thing and what have you. They still haven't contacted me. They're not ready. I will follow up probably here now. It'll be about a month, I think, since dad passed. So I will reach out and just see how their life is going. I won't even mention real estate because it's more important just to see how they're doing. Just come from compassion. It's what will sell you to them, and they'll want to use you. People like a human connection, right? There are ones, of course, if they're high, I don't know, if it's a D or whatever, and they're like the engineer, they just want it cut, and you figure out how to handle those ones. I do. I'm probably not as good at it. I stutter a little bit sometimes because they're so off of what I am in my personality. But yeah, anyone you touch, you got to remember, it's like an octopus of arms around you. As long as you impact that person in front of you, and they can trust you, they're going to refer you. It's not just about that one person you've touched. It's about making sure. And I'll tell you how I know that. So I've had people that I've talked to, I've never done business with, and then you'll be on Facebook and they'll have someone in Ask Nova Scotia, who have you used personally as your agent, or who would you recommend as an agent in this area? It's like a competition. I will see my name tagged. And I'll see other popular agents tagged as well. And it's like, I'll count to see how many people have actually, that means I'm doing my job right, that I've touched people's lives properly, that they felt secure enough to give my name out. And that happens a lot. And as a big compliment. I will then, depending on what that original post was and what they were asking for and what their arm's length may have been too, because like I don't be contacted, I'm just looking for your own perspective. If I've been tagged and it doesn't look like it, I should be doing a private message to them. I'll just say thank you for the referral, and poster, whoever they are, if you would like to reach out, I am here, and any capacity of whatever you're looking for, and I would love to have a chat with you. I'm very easy breezy. I'm not pressuring, because you see it when someone puts that on there. There's going to be 1,000, comments on that, and it becomes almost like a cesspool. So you just got to know how to deal with that and not look too aggressive, but just say, "Hey, I'm here." So if you don't look too needy, I find that's important too. Yeah, I always link my Facebook professional page to it, or I will link my website to it. So they have more contact to me, and they can kind of research who I am and what I bring to the table without maybe
Maureen,
even getting. Yes.
it's Chris again. Sorry. I have something to add here. Yeah. So by the way, if you ever feel lonely, just post on Facebook. You need a real estate agent. You will not be lonely anymore. But I just want to talk to the slide here where it says the effort you give to converting leads doesn't necessarily mean you have to beat them over the head. I was sitting here, got my phone beside me, and I had this one person. I spoke to them a year ago. They're on emails. They check out my Facebook postings on listings, and this person's a little bit short, doesn't really get involved. But then this morning, while you were speaking, so maybe it's serendipity, they just emailed out of the blue in response to one of my newsletters and said, "Looks like it's time for an appointment." And so you don't have to beat people over the head sometimes. You kind of got to meet people where they are. And for her,
Yep.
it was just constant communication and constant
Yep.
value, and not trying
You
to
were
drag her into a
perfect.
conversation. She's not the type of person.
You did not pressure anything. You just gave
Yeah.
valuable information out. And when it was their time, already, and look who they reached out to you.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
exactly what I'm getting at. Perfect. That's perfect. The other reason why also I did my own web page, or my website. So when my listings come up, I share my listing from my website to my social media. Click, click, click. And there's the questions, and then they can go through. No different than Viewpoint, no different than Realtor.ca. It's a nice, pleasant website to look at. It's actually, I find it easier to navigate than some of the other ones. So just brings traffic and it's getting shared. And I say, please share. They share my listing of my website, and then they're on there, and then they can contact me, and they know I list and I buy, help buyers and all that. I have blogs on there, good information about if you're going to list your house, how to prep for spring and summer outside, curb appeal. They can just wander. It's just a nice little, I could be doing more with it. I'm pretty busy, so I haven't in the last year. Well, I probably will do a revamp, probably sometime this year, like going into probably even 2026. Put up some new information and maybe like some new, look to it a little bit. But yeah, those are all the things. But that's so great, Chris, that you said that. And that's what we're getting at. You just want to touch these people intentionally, so they don't feel like you're just trying to get them. Um, it's got to be a little more subtle than that, but you're in their face and just be friends. Like someone would say, oh, someone needs this. Like, okay, here you go. Here's where you can find this person. Or I found someone's looking for a rental. Like I'm almost just there to be helpful. Because just because it's someone asked that question, everyone else that you may be friends with is seeing that you're being helpful. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone needs a rental. Okay, well, I know this person here. He's a, that's what he does. Is he's a rental helper. I don't know. What do you call those? Property manager or what have you, like things like that. Like I'll get them in touch with people. If someone needs a roofer, if someone needs a plumber, an electrician, that's why you have your preferred partners. It's not just about these clients to say, hey, I've got a great plumber I use all the time. Um, those are the kind of things are like you're just being helpful. So they know if they're going to do business with you, that you're going to be that person. They know who they're going to get in business with, basically. So capture, connect, is cultivate and close. So at some point, like again, it could be up to 10 years before you close with them, but you'll know that track record. And if you have talked to them and they say they're going to be 3 years old, make sure you write that down. And then you need to devise a plan, maybe softly, of how you're going to interact with them over 3 years. What I do again, it's social media. They're going to get interaction from me. Odd time, because we know the algorithm can be off. You need to look at your list and you need to look at your social media and see if have I been seeing their stuff? We haven't been, algorithmized to each other. So then you need to go in and intentionally make sure you look at that person, see what's going on in their world, and make sure you can touch base with them. I know there's people I don't always see, but I think they still see me. So sometimes it's a guess, but you just want to definitely make sure that you are checking on these people. And that's why it's important to have that the base on the side. Put them in all these other things, but I still have that database to make sure. Um, Yeah, and then like at the end of the year, my database is, for that holiday card. So I'm looking to make sure all that information is correct, and things like that. And if I think that something may change, it's a great time to reach out to them and say, hey, just want to confirm that your home address is still this, or, this is this. And they'll give it to you because once you've been there, chances are going to give you that information. And just another touch. I'm supposed to send you out your holiday card, or I was going to send you a birthday card or whatever. And I don't know, like just things like that keep you in front of them. Um, so some methods of capturing. Capturing is how we capture them and what we're going to capture. So collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information of your potential buyer or seller. It's the simplest. Capturing is collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information. Should include their names and a way to get in hold of them, such as an email and phone number. Most likely, this will occur when you are generating that lead. Open houses, right? We all know that's more for lead nurturing than it really is about selling that house. Chances are often very high of finding that buyer at your listing. It's definitely a place to find people that are either rogue, don't have an agent, may have been using an agent but didn't sign with them, and having face-to-face conversations. So they're already warm because they're there and you have a product to sell them. I always say, well, if this isn't the one for you, you don't have an agent. I always find that out. How can I help you? Can I put you on Collab Center? Do you want me to show you something? And did you have anything else that you're interested in? Maybe you were looking at a different open house today. Well, I can do a personal showing with that. I will get you that information. You're just finding ways to interact and again, being value to them. Response to social media or online ad. Like I said, all those things we see out there, mailers, flyers, and your for sale sign. So it's important. Listing is to live and, you want to get it. You want to get a listing out there. You want a for sale sign on there. That's, showing you are active in this market. If I were to conversation frameworks, if I were to need to contact you, what would that number be? So these are the things you would say to try and get that out, right? If I found exactly what you are looking for, how would I contact you? If I found out that information you are wanting, how would I get it for you? So whatever type of thing, so you can get their email address and their phone number. It's just how to capture it. Most pretty decent. Like there's not a lot. I mean, if they're really intentionally are interested in real estate, I'm going to give you that information. No, it just is. And then you should always do after you've talked to someone, you've gotten that contact information. It's great to give, let's just say an email back. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. I know it's valuable. Just wanted to go over what we chatted about and, just kind of that reminder so that you're showing them that you were listening. And, I would love to be able to contact you again. Or like I said, I will follow up next week, next month, whatever it is that was in that promise of that conversation. It's what you're looking to make sure you got an in and you can keep going back. And then after a while, you'll know when it's time to have that phone conversation too. It'll just start to feel organic on how to touch them and what feels good in their world and what doesn't. But the more you talk to them, the more confident you get about them, the more confident they get about you. Those are the important things. Your value role play practice. Yes, obviously find a partner. Like I said, you can use the scripts that we have, plenty of them in command and all that. If you don't feel that they're authentic to you, find a partner and work that out to feel how that's authentic to you, whether it's for a phone call, whether it's for person when it's, figure out those scenarios of what from start to finish, getting that first phone call with someone, that follow-up email, that first meeting in person. Sometimes we just are lucky. People call us up and say, can you show me this house? Never met them before in my life. Well, you've got a great opportunity there for at least 30 minutes to 60 minutes if you know how to work that showing, right? And you've booked it. That very intentional. Showings are a huge value proposition for you to be able to get to know them. And to God, whatever you learned in that conversation, make sure you remember. And afterwards, hopefully you have that information of how they contacted you and you're going to say, great meeting you. I'd love to set you on, maybe you've already talked to a Collab and I just need your email now so that I can put you on Collab and we can get that started with the criteria that we're interested in purchasing. So it's all about that follow-up. Follow-ups are huge. It's not a one and done and just hope they come to you. That's not how it works. You want to find out who they are, do they want or need to do, where do they want or need to do it, why do they want or need to do it, and when do they want or need to do it, and how do they plan to do it, right? So, I want to do this. Okay, the first thing you need to do is talk to your mortgage broker. Right? They need to be able to look at what your finances are, how that looks. Some people aren't ready to buy when they think they're ready to buy. They didn't realize their score wasn't high enough or what have you. You're there for the long haul and don't worry, we're going to get you to where you need to be. That's why I've put you in touch with so-and-so and they're going to help you on this back end. I'm still going to have you on Collab because you're not a lost cause to me. We're not saying that, but you want them to make sure they know that they're not a lost cause. people have hardships all the time, and what they think they can do, sometimes they can't. They think they're in better position than they are, but you're there for that long haul. Those people that you're there for that long haul will definitely reach out to you. I would say it's probably a 90% chance. If you were caring to them and potentially tried to help them to get out of whatever situation they're in, it's huge. And knowing their whys, it's all about their big why of why they want to do this, who they are, and who they are in business, and all of that runs together on that picture that you're building of them on how to them where they want to be. You can't know or predict. But here, my glasses on, sorry. You can't know or predict when they will come to a decision, but if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do. That's when you'll be able to close for an appointment. And it's totally true. When asking for the appointment, which format do you think is most effective? Text message, email, phone call, or in person? Anyone have an answer to that?
I think text messages work second best to in person.
Okay, all right. So I think it depends on the demographic of the age, like the age group of that person, right? You know, I probably are dealing with the older ones that definitely want a phone call. Phone call, and from phone call, it's where I can set up that appointment and meet you. Want me to come to your house where you're comfortable? What's your most comfortable spot? Yes, and you're not wrong at all. It all depends, I think, generational. I've got people that are my age much rather in that text message too, right? People are busy. They don't have the time for that long conversation, especially they know me, I'm a talker, right? And same thing when I know my buyers or my sellers or who they are, if I know them well enough, I want to gauge that too, because I may not have an hour to chat. My biggest thing is if I'm driving to locations like here today, if I had a conversation to have, I had 25 minutes to make that intentional phone call today and give it to them. Right?
I always, so phone call followed up by an in-person meeting. If you don't get those two and they don't have the time, right,
Right.
awesome.
Right. But if they're not, and that's fine if they're not, then you're putting them on a different type of a drip or what have you to keep in touch with them. You just don't want to lose them. You want to get that interaction.
Probably not.
Yeah.
If they don't schedule a phone call and an in-person meeting.
Right.
To buy or sell.
That's right. They may not, that's right. They're not interested. But you still try and keep them somewheres in hopes that they someday. And I'm seriously, I've had ones where it's like, oh, probably lost. They've come out of the woodwork because I still had them getting collab emails. I didn't turn them off. I've had ones I've turned off, like, my collab's not anymore. I'm like, well, they've seen the emails come in. They may not have clicked on them, but they could see from what was on the email whether it was of interest to them, right? Because it'll show the ones that were for them. So it's like, all right.
Sometimes they quit your collab and go with another agent.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%.
always
Yeah, no, you definitely have to. Like I said, if I see something, I think, oh, that's great. Because it says who that property was for, right? So like call or text, whatever they are, comfortable with. And they just say, hey, did you see that one today?
And a couple of times I've had people reach out, waste my time, because they were suddenly realtor. And then they call me out, after I run around stores, and they call me up and said, no, wait, you got my license. I'll never forget that.
Oh, no, 100%. I had buyers from Austin, Texas. I moved them to a beautiful place in West Bedford. Neither one of them seen that place in person. The wife with her toddler, and she was almost ready to have a second child, and her mother, was a mother or mother-in-law, can't remember, showed up on closing day to be able to see that house for the first time. I never even got to meet the husband because he was driving the truck from up there to,
During COVID, right?
right? But I was so intentional after the fact to go visit them and meet him and what have you. And yep, that was what her dream was. And I encouraged her and she did get into real estate. And now I think they moved to Ontario now. Danielle.
And that is true.
Yeah.
But in people who are sitting in, doing the course, call up realtors, make you run around, waste your time.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really choice.
Yeah, you want to qualify them. You want to fill out what their real intentions are. Some are maybe really good liars. and you may not know, and they won't tell you that information, but
But we don't.
yes, we do. And you have to kind of get into some of those situations in order for it to never happen again. You got to make the mistakes or not don't know what you don't know, but then you know. And then when you do, you make promises to yourself. And the longer you're in the business, the more you will build that business to be very intentional and not just on a whim. And maybe if you know who your people are, and you'll get a spidey sense to who's really, sincere and those that really aren't. Don't waste your time on the ones that aren't. But, and if they're really not,
Follow that.
it totally is, right? But that's what I'm saying. If I think some are not really, I'll throw you on that collab. I'll keep an eye on you, but I'll keep, just so you have my name and you see me for a while, and then check in on you if you're not doing anything. Well, bigger fish to fry, right? And that's how you, and after a while, I know in the beginning that's hard, like you're gonna like pounce on everything, but you gotta know how to do it gracefully so they don't feel like you're hungry, even though you're starving.
But sometimes they not, we hope you, but they might reply.
That's right, and that's what I was saying, exactly. Just because you don't win them or they're not really into it, you've done some stuff to impress them, enough to refer you out, and that's what it's about. We're all about our referral base.
Person they did, they have to all.
Oh, so many times, my last agent this, my last agent that. I'll have people that call me up because they're under contract. I'm like, I cannot advise you under contract. But please read your contract, because what you're saying here may not run with what, they promised you in your contract, right? Yeah. No, no, but they don't even know what to do sometimes either, right? And it's like, oh dear, right? Yeah. And most of them, they will go contact whoever it is they need to contact. If it doesn't work out, like get rid of them, that they get rid of them and then they'll come to you. Just say, I appreciate you not, because we're never here to talk about any other agent or whether what they did was right or wrong. A lot of them will just get it out of their mouth what it is that, because they needed someone to talk to understand them. And I'll just say, oh, it's awful, or, that's terrible that you're going through something like that. It's what you need to do. And that's as far as I get, because you cannot give them advice. I would say just look at your contract. It tells you everything. All the information you need, move forward is there. And if you do that, usually they trust you enough, they'll come back. Get rid of that person if that's what they feel they need to do. I can't read this thing very well. So in the end, if they can have a good enough reason to meet, they will meet. And if they don't, they won't. And that's okay. You really don't care what their answer ultimately is, because you're not letting people do anything they don't want to do. You're just going to ask and respond until they agree that meeting with you makes sense, or it doesn't. Either way, you won't win. And you do, because then you won't be wasting your time anymore, right? You don't want to waste your time. It's got to be intentional. So let's see here. This. Okay, have anyone had any ahas, like out of all this conversation and things you were like, oh, I can do this, or I can, I can put this into my business, or I could work this way? Hope so. I know you did, Chris, because I know you're going to be doing that. What I suggested, but
It's encouraging to hear that you've been chasing people for like 5 years and now all of a
oh
sudden,
God,
now they're ready. So yeah,
it
don't
totally.
don't feel quite so bad about my lack of sellers at the moment.
No, no, seriously, like you don't know. It's when they're ready. And as long as you've given them your patience and your understanding, that's all they want. Really, it is. If you're that type of a person, you're compassionate to that, don't you worry. I've always told them, doesn't matter. I'm not here for just tomorrow or whatever. I'm here for you futuristically, whatever works for you. We're going to make that plan work how you see it. And that's the whole thing about their why, right? Okay. Once you understand what your conversation rate is, you can move from E to P. Do you remember this from day one? E's and your P's? It's one of Keller Williams' six personal perspectives. This is when you get more purposeful, improving your conversation rate, gaining insight, and getting more purposeful with ultimately bring you more closed transactions. Some activities you can engage in to improve your conversation rates might include time block for your lead conversation. If you erase it, because something comes up, like a doctor's appointment you cannot get out of, it's hard to get into a doctor, you've got to replace it. Find another spot. Do not just get rid of it. Keep yourself, your promises to yourself are the most important thing you can do and for your business. Use conversations and systems. I know I keep forgetting. It's just my apologies. Use conversations and systems, practice conversations, dialogues, asking for the close, mastering buyer and seller presentations in your relationships. There's a lot, I know we have them here where you can go on and find, I believe even in Command, there's ones where you can build your own buyer package and your own seller package of how that works. When you're in front of someone, you can get in front of them and present yourself. Be honest, I've never done a buyer's presentation where I sit down and I've had to ask for the business. I always have, like I said, the buyer package in order to just say, this is going to help you and guide you along the way with my expertise. But I've never sat down to sell myself for a buyer. I'm sure there's plenty that do it. I'm just not one of those ones that have done it. The first team I was on, definitely, we were building buyers packages and seller packages and all that kind of stuff. After a while, it's all in your credentials. If you're spoken highly of out in the industry and you're getting those referrals, this will become less and less. You'll know when you get into a house, like even for me, for my sellers presentations, I know there's people that sit down and show their value. I go through first and if I can get in their house and I can see their home and take pictures and just say, I'm going to go back now. Do you have any idea what my house is worth? I do not give that on site because I could shoot myself in the foot. I'm honest about it. And I go back and I do the CMA. And I've gotten their email. I already had their phone call because I've talked to them. And then I text them to say, I'm ready to send your CMA. Some want to do it in person. It depends on how well I know them. If it's someone I really know, I just send it to them because I've been in conversation. If they were friends, family, what have you, I don't have to get in person. I always say, take a look over at this. Let me know what questions you have, and then we can schedule a time to go more in depthly about everything and talk about the strategy on how we are going to list your house in today's market. It's always going to change. You can proposition yourself, in a PDF or a PowerPoint on your laptop when you go see them. But our market's changing all the time. The last 2 years, we didn't have a spring market until summer. This year it has started a bit earlier. Be interesting to see what happens here in the summer, but you really kind of got to know all of that kind of stuff when you're going to be sitting with them. Because it's changing all the time. So what you may have presented last month may not be how you're presenting this month, other than your own proposition value, of course.
Maureen, hi, Chris again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention I've never had a buyer package. I might build one, but I will say the one thing that has lost me buyers is not being able to answer their questions properly. Where I could go in and be confident and ask about, well, how's the deposit work, and like how do I get an inspector in, and how do I all
Right
of
here.
that. Yeah, you
want me to
need to be
send
able to
you
answer
my-
questions. Yeah, send me it. I'll take
Yep,
a
and
look.
that
You've got
way-
my email.
Again, build it to you. Don't build it because of the people I put on here or what have you. Yes, yeah, for sure. And like, you're going to tweak it to you. Like some of these things,
Mm.
you'll say the lawyer, well, that's still relevant because this is a bit older. I think I tweaked it in 2023. But I just don't use it that much anymore. But I just say it all, right? I just say, lawyer's going to cost you between $750 and $1,500, da, 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 da. But I do always give them, they'll always ask me, I'll say, do you need any, service providers? Can I help you with that? And they're just like, God, yes, I don't have a lawyer. And I'm like, okay, well, where are you? Are you Halifax, Dartmouth, Eastern Shore? Where do you prefer to have that business conducted? Same with the lenders. And, well, that's important. If you have this is valuable. At the end, also keep in mind your moving costs, your utility hookups, mail forwarding fees, appliances, furniture, and you're always wanting to beat people in. Do not purchase anything before you close that house because that will change your your debt ratio and what have you, and you may not be closing that house because you bought furniture and appliances that, on your credit card. And good. So, it's about that value, and the confidence they're going to get in you for knowing. So you're right, Chris, you need to be able to answer questions depending on whether it's the buyer or the seller. I unload a lot of crap usually, not crap, but lot of information to them. And I'll say, I know that was a lot. I know you're gonna not, you didn't get all that. And I'm gonna follow up with if it was in person, because a lot of times I will meet my buyers for the first time in person. They've reached out and asked to see a property. That's when I just automatically give them that value right there, what I have to offer them, what, the knowledge they need to know and how don't worry about anything. That's a lot, but that's why you're going to hire me so that I have everything scheduled, done. I look after everything. I will send everything to your lawyer. I will send everything to your lender. They will then be in touch to schedule those calls, yada, yada, yada. You can take away some of that stress from them. You're golden because that's what they're looking for. They're scared to death. You got to remember, no matter if they're sellers, buyers, they are scared to death. They don't know what that market's going to do to them until you get out there. And they may start as a buyer, they may start in a market that's not so bad. And now all of a sudden, now as we see, it's ramped up depending on that price point. We're missing out on things. They're not bidding high enough, things like that. And you got to be there to know how to console them, keep their energy up, and keep their confidence up that we're going to get them where they need to be. Patience and understanding. Huge. Those are things that honestly sell you. It's just that you're almost going to become like their best friend. The clients I mentioned earlier were giving up their home that they had sold, hadn't closed yet. And they finally did, they come to the Jesus moment that they're going to have to keep looking. And they picked this property and said, can we go look at it? And the husband, I had most of the conversation with the husband. I could tell the wife was very introverted, very sad, very emotional. She kept her sunglasses on. I knew behind those eyes, they would crying all day, night before, probably the last 2 days, just because of the situation they were in and they were so stressed. So after the showing's all over and we're talking about the house and, what are the things you didn't like? What are the things can we fix about that? I looked at her and she said, I just can't understand why these people can't understand. And I'm like, well, because their budget's lower than yours, and that's going to be even harder for them to find something else. So they have to. They obtained it. They've done all their due diligence as you did as well. So, anyways, they decided. So before we ended this conversation, I said, I said, would I be able to give you a hug? I feel like you could use a hug. Like I don't just go maul on my clients. And I wasn't even sure, even when I hugged her and she kind of hugged me back, that I did the right thing. And afterwards, we went back to our places. I wrote their offer, got it accepted. And she said, Maureen, you have no idea how much I needed your hug today. I didn't even know, like, I didn't feel like I had gotten that back, that I'd done the right thing. I actually kind of felt like I might have overstepped and read it wrong. But I did. So you have to be personable and you really have to be connected to them. You wear a lot of their emotions. No, I don't sleep well at night because sometimes I'm worried about my clients. They become almost like a family to me. But if you're invested in them, they feel it and they know you're going to get it done. They know you're going to get them their house or you're going to sell their house. You're going to explain when there's no showings, what's going on. You're showing them proof in the market of what's happening right now and where all the buyers are coming from. And then you're going to say, look, this is how we need to suggest to pivot for your listing. And look, I have my house on the market. I just took it off, but I have it on the market. I have an SOBP on a home, new build, and my house is not selling. I really felt where my price point was correct. I felt very confident in it. Very beautiful home inside. I've worked hard on it. I've updated, I've done everything decorative. I've, picked my decor and all that. And I've had good feedback and things like that. My offers had 2 offers and they're not high enough to where I felt I should be. And as I reached out to one of my agents that I started with and what have you, and said, I need you to sell my house. The thing, right? And she goes, okay, can I give you the honest opinion? I said, yes, please, Jesus, do that. And sure enough, she said, your pictures are killing you. Pretty as it is, it's a pretty home. It's got floral arrangements. It's got things. Get rid of it all. Get rid of majority of the artwork off the walls, simplify, take away any splashy colors because that's what's happening. Their eyes are drawn to the pretty, not the house. So you end up you're trying to sell it on all the pretty instead of what the house itself has to offer. So here I am in the year 8, and it's hard to do that for myself. So I stripped my house. I'm getting new photos done all over again. And I'm going to go back to Mark. I just took it off for a week. I'll come back on new, different agent, nothing against the agent I had, because when you're selling your own place, you're just basically looking for someone to put their sign out there. So you're not without E&O insurance if you sell your own home. So, but I'll change that all up, and I'll listen to some of her advice, and other than what she already gave me on how to relist it, price point and everything. And, you know, we're our own worst ones as an agent to be a client. It's very tough, and I'm learning. Um, Don't neglect any part of your database. Reconnect with each person, and when you do, also ask for referrals. You'll know where that is. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be thirsty in that qualification, but as you get more comfortable with these people, like friends and family, it becomes easier to ask for it. And look, just when you're hanging out, I go on girls' spa days, a couple times a year with my friends, or we go to supper. Like, I'm going out tonight actually with my longtime friends since grade primary. Um, we always end up talking about real estate, not the whole conversation because we're dealing on all of us. But if there's anything there, then yeah, same thing. Oh, my aunt's ready to list. I'm gonna tell her, whatever. So it's just how you bring it out, but you can't have it be the center as well. No one wants stuff down their throat. Um, know who to prioritize in an upcoming session. In lead follow-up segment, you will learn how to prioritize. Prioritize converting those as well. You know how Umi was just saying, like, some that you just kind of know they're not doing anything, or have you. So they're not maybe the ones you're focusing on. You got to figure out which ones are the ones that are going to get you to a close, which is what it's all about. Where are we? Lead follow up, keep every lead. Below that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. So very true. So very true. This model, you guys would have looked at this model, I'm assuming, earlier. Have you guys all been on all the other previous courses than this one, like earlier? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, you're just preparing your contacts for conversation. You're gonna know, you're funneling how they start when they're looser, and you're qualifying them till you get to that point where you can get that meeting with them, or get to that stage where you're signing the BDBA or an SDBA. You're building all to that. It's like building pyramid. Start with a good base, selling yourself in a very nice way, trustworthy. You've got to be trustworthy, and then from there, that confidence builds, and then you're getting to that spot where you need to be, and they're saying, okay, now I'm ready to list. So, or buy, depending on what it is, right? I mean, I'm really drilling the same things over and over to you guys. Really. Um, Thanks. Yeah, it's conversation. It's being allowed that conversation. Focus on building the relationships and take market share. But it's a building that relationship. Trust is everything. And that they feel, you again, the mirroring, what have you. Be authentic, for God's sakes. Like, I can go out with buyers now, or sellers, whoever, and nothing for me to have a few curse words in there and everything else, because I'm very like down to earth when I'm talking to them about anything. Um, Most of them like it. I mean, I would never, you got to read your room, right? Again, mirroring and what have you. So, yep. But you got to be careful. If you're with some highfalutin little lady friend, you're probably not, cussing it up, right? So you kind of got to know the heat of the temperature of that situation. You know what I mean? And sometimes we do have to be different than who we are. You're still there. The base of you is there, but you still kind of read what that person can kind of tell what they need and how you need to talk to them. Okay, let's establish a mindset around follow up with your contacts. If your database is a garden, then your leads are the seeds, your contacts are the plants, and the conversation is your harvest. great way. Um. No, you definitely want them to be, you're growing them. And it's true. That is exactly what you're doing. And then when you are out with your buyers, just something else to remember, like I know some agents, I think, learn more about the buyers specifically. Like I'll see, oh, my clients on closing gave me this type of booze, my favorite booze. I'm thinking, I never had conversations about booze, but they probably weren't my type of client. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a drinker anyways. And there comes times like I do a closing basket for my people and I make wine. I don't drink. I don't drink wine. I don't know what it tastes like. It's not my thing. But I always do, they're all labeled to me. I've got chocolates, that are branded to me. Everything is branded to me. But in a very, nice way, nothing too pushy and over the top. But if I find that I think I'm with someone that maybe, a recovered alcoholic or is not a drinker, well, then obviously I'm not probably pushing over like 5 bottles of different flavored wine and stuff like that. But there's candles, there's just certain things that I give. There's certain pens I give and water bottles and chap, like there's all kinds of stuff. And people like put that on after and say, oh my God, like thank you so much. But if I feel like it's something of what the gifts I normally would give will not make an impact to my client that I'm closing on, I will intentionally do something specific to them that I know harbors, especially if it's a single person. Um, there's just certain things you'll learn about them and know where to guide them. They think that stuff's great. So it costs you $100 or $150, depending on where you are in your business and how much you can afford. Some people are doing these really cool, especially for their buyers, watercolor prints of the home that they bought and giving it to them, and it's established on whatever day or what have you. So all kinds of different things you can do. Um, but you want something that they see and they remember. So that in 5 years, they decide they're selling, call me. That water print, like whatever it is you did, something that they can remember you by, but also still putting them on your drip campaign and giving them a holiday card, birthday card, anniversary, or at least touching base with them on social media. But that's how you are intentional. That's how you grow. Um, that's how you grow it. That database going. That's important. And I don't look at my database every day either. Like I said, if I've converted them properly, Paragon, social media, and what have you, I keep an eye on them that way. And then I reach out to them accordingly as I need to. There's probably people I touch more than what those things are. And maybe they're different types of touches. But people just reach out to me whenever they have a question about real estate. They know I am willing to talk to them. Now, I'll give you a little advice because this is a learning curve. Quite a few years back, there was a lady on Facebook. I knew she was going to sell her house. She used to date my brother back in the day, years before. I knew she was divorced, but I also knew on Facebook that she was definitely going to be selling her house her own. She wasn't going through real estate. After making that post, she then reaches out to me privately and wants all of this advice. I think I used to actually work with her too, way back, like in my very early 20s, at a local spot, retail spot. Anyways, I knew I didn't really overly care for this person. I didn't like who she really was and her values. Then wanted all this real estate advice. And I said, what was busy? It was right during COVID, actually. It was like that first year of COVID was ridiculous. I almost killed myself. And then she's asking for all of this advice. And I'm like, appreciate you reaching out to me and looking for my advice. I am super busy. And I see that you are planning on selling your home, your own. Um, honestly, I'm not going to give you this information as much as I can appreciate what you're doing. And yes, you need to do this. Well, I got a ripped thing of how dare you? Your brother told me to reach out and here you are, you're successful and you don't want to see anyone else be successful. Like she really ripped me one and then blocked me, which was fine. So I couldn't come back with an FU because really where it was going to go. She didn't badmouth me. She didn't do anything. I don't know what she did in the end. I wasn't on Facebook with her anymore and good riddance. Yeah. And there's times I've had buyers who have ghosted one of my teammates and I've called those people and I've given them a good little, education on being what have you, because I'm like a mother. I won't be on it. I won't do a team anymore because I'm too much of a mother hen and, protecting and that. But at that point was my daughter that got ghosted. She was on my team. She reminded me, don't forget about social media, Mom. I appreciate you sticking up for me, but they could have, given you a 0-star review on Google. They could have ripped you a new one on Ask Nova Scotia or any of these other ones. And I'm like, God, thank you. So I have learned maybe not to do that first instinct. And I was fortunate with that other one. Wasn't going to have anyone list her house, but wanted all my advice for free and to give her a price on it too. She wanted me to CMA and everything. Look, I got people that are divorcing. I know they're just doing whatever. I don't mind because I know down the road there's probably something coming out of it, and my kindness and compassion will get me that person down the road. So you just gotta protect yourself too. You can't give everything away for free, but you can give some time if you know it's going to go somewhere. Don't waste your time because there's people out there that will value your time more. I would say, really, I think that's pretty much it. It's all about converting them and getting in touch with them and your touch plans, and that's all through command, and that will be through Jessica. And again, if you're on the phone, figure out intentionally what it is you want to say, so that you're not stumbling and stuttering. So I say that because that's what I'm like. If I don't believe in it or I'm not authentic in what I'm trying to do because I'm just there, get the money. Sometimes those conversations are just more personal. But that caring person is usually, people are looking for that and they'll get back in touch with you and they'll remember you. So just be you, I think is important. It's the end of it. So I don't know. Does anyone have any questions or do you feel like I covered what you needed to hear today? And if not, let me know and I will, answer any questions you may have. Nothing? Nothing? Great. Well, I want to thank you guys for interacting and listening today, and hopefully you got some value out of it. Anyone that's online that wants, my buyer package, so you have a sample of it. Again, it kind of goes with my area, it kind of goes with the relationships I've built, but it's a guide of a template for you to look, say, okay, she has 5 or 6 lenders on here. I need to get in front of 5 or 6 lenders. You can't look like I've chosen this person and they're the only ones you should use. That's not good. You want major banks, different ones from major banks. You want to, broker, we split different brokers from different brokerages for lenders. Ones that specifically, if you get into mini homes, you need to know who and only what ones lend, right? Not everybody lends for mini homes and such, right? Lawyers. Again, when you're in open houses, you can ask some of these people. There's also new ones that are as well, are into mortgage lending and all that, who need to get out in front of people too. So build with people like that. You're building your value proposition through these kind of things. So yes, I'm going to give you my email address. So read the spelling and everything. So Maureen, Maureen, Ferguson, Ferguson, homesales.com. Just let me know you want one of my buyers. I will send it to you in a Word document so that you can just go in. You'll be taking out, my logo. You could change the font if you want, whatever you want to do, but it just kind of shows you, I don't have anything glossy and done through Vistaprint or anything like that. Because sometimes these things change and that's a lot of money when you start doing that. I used to buy the folders when it was just my daughter and I, to put all your documents in when you go and give them their documents when you've printed them all off for them. And my daughter's not in real estate anymore. And I've got, another 500 of these little suckers. But most people know me anyway, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, my daughter's not in it anymore. Not wasting. The environment's too important to me. There's ways to kind of go about that or change them and spend the money. And you'll learn as you go. So yeah, so you have my email. Anyone that wants that request it, I'll send you it over. And thank you for your time today.